said, listen, if he's going to be kind enough to want to play, then Andrew will play.
That's right.
And he says, let's play, we'll play.
There are secrets that stay buried because everyone agrees they should. And then there are the kind that remain hidden only because the wrong person hasn't spoken yet. This is one of those. The story you're about to hear isn't gentle, and it was never meant to be small. For years, Sarah Ferguson's silence wasn't passive. It was chosen, precise, calculated, and unbroken. Within royal life, silence like that is never accidental. The rumor was old, almost forgotten, yet dangerous enough to shift everything if proven true. It began with a private yacht, a royal prince, and a newly titled duchess. 3 days out of sight, conversations that crossed lines, and a consequence that, had it been acknowledged, might have rewritten royal history entirely. There were whispers of a pregnancy, then of sudden disconnection. What followed was a narrative quietly erased before it ever reached daylight. Sarah Ferguson knew the ecosystem of power better than most. She had seen its patterns, its indulgences, its methods of protection. She understood the particular charm Prince Andrew wielded and the equally particular risks that followed him. So, when Meghan Markle entered the royal scene years later, this was not a new story to Fergie. It was an echo of an older one sealed so deeply, it was almost folklore within the walls of silence. Because when the person guarding a secret decides to step back, the past doesn't stay buried. It claws upward. For Sarah Ferguson, that shift mattered. She knew yacht culture far better than the public ever did. She'd watched how privacy was traded for proximity, how alliances were forged offshore where scrutiny couldn't reach. So, when talk of Meghan's early interaction with Andrew resurfaced years later, the irony was impossible to ignore. When Meghan once joked that she'd mistaken Prince Andrew for a valet, that she hadn't even recognized him, the public saw a lighthearted anecdote, a brief moment of charm. Fergie saw something else entirely. To her, it sounded rehearsed, strategic, like a wall being built between two people who already knew each other. Because Andrew wasn't obscure. He couldn't have been, not to someone who studied the world she later married into. And within their circles, no one simply didn't know who he was. What Fergie recognized was a kind of distancing, a deliberate effort to rewrite proximity into coincidence. That's the language of protection. It isn't about false innocence, it's about clean timelines. When history conveniently resets, it's usually because something happened before it officially should have. According to accounts shared privately and carefully, Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew's paths may have crossed far earlier than anyone admitted. February 2002, a yacht off the coast of Nice. Exclusive guest list, minimal staff, maximum privacy. Andrew reportedly recorded as a VIP guest. Meghan allegedly among the party on board. It wasn't a setting where anyone could blend into anonymity. Everyone knew who everyone was and why they were there. One anonymous witness, identified only through layers of discretion, claimed that everything shifted the moment Andrew arrived. Meghan's attention locked in, deliberately, almost strategically. Within hours, the two were inseparable. Later, they disappeared below deck. From then on, meals were sent down privately, their absence noted, but not questioned. After 3 days, they reappeared altered, mutually distant from the rest, and quietly entangled. Those who were present carried the memory of that dynamic long after the trip ended. For Ferguson, such details weren't new. They confirmed what she already knew of Andrew's impulses and the careful silences that followed him. In the royal ecosystem, facts don't vanish, they're managed. But the aftermath is where the story deepens. This wasn't just an encounter, it became a thread that lingered quietly, tightening over time. Supposedly, contact continued after the yacht returned to shore. Calls, messages, follow-ups that went unanswered. Andrew, as many around him could attest, had a consistent pattern: engage intensely, then vanish completely. When the line went dead, Meghan was reportedly persistent. She believed it said that he needed to know something, and that something was life-altering. According to one version of events, Meghan believed she might be pregnant. The implications were explosive. A child connected to a prince, and outside the acceptable boundaries, would have set off crisis alarms at every level. But as with many problems within royal life, silence became the chosen solution. Calls weren't returned, messages stopped, instructions were sent to block further contact. Communication ended. For someone accustomed to being heard, that total erasure would have been devastating. What followed was a decision made in isolation, one that changed the course of everything thereafter. The alleged pregnancy, if it existed, didn't continue. And with its end, so ended that chapter, buried without record, softened into rumor. Inside the firm, silence is a tool. It controls damage, rewrites timelines, and protects crowns. But silence, when stretched too thin, becomes dangerous all over again. Because even unproven stories leave traces in motives, in resentments, in choices that don't fit their public explanations. So, years later, when Meghan re-entered royal orbit, history began pressing against the walls again. Her proximity to Andrew wasn't hypothetical anymore. It was an old story returning to view. Within the palace, this carried implications too heavy to ignore. When power needs a release valve, it rarely sacrifices the bloodline. It sacrifices the outsider. And that's the position Meghan found herself in. Easily isolated. No ancestral power, no generational shield. Fergie understood this. The same pattern had once applied to her. Both women were outsiders who had been allowed in just long enough to be useful. Both understood the cost of speaking too early and the power of holding a truth too long. The difference was timing. Sarah Ferguson had learned caution through scandal, Meghan through ambition. Both traded access for protection, though only one understood that the system never truly grants safety. It only extends temporary favor. When the tides shifted and Meghan distanced herself from key allies, she didn't just sever connections. She awakened an observer. Fergie didn't need evidence to believe what she already knew. Years near Andrew had taught her the patterns, the charm that preceded the vanishing, the silences that cleaned things up. She had lived through that rhythm, so when whispers of Meghan's past proximity began circulating again, Ferguson didn't dismiss them. She recognized them. For decades, mutual silence protected everyone. As long as the secret benefited all sides, it stayed contained. But that balance has changed. Fergie no longer holds institutional protection. Meghan no longer enjoys the shield of public favor. And Andrew's reliance on others' discretion has finally caught up with him. The question now isn't about the yacht or what may have happened there. It's about who knew and why they chose not to speak. Because secrets never truly dissolve. They lie dormant, waiting. When the one person left carrying them decides there's nothing more to lose, silence turns into testimony. And once that silence breaks, the story no longer belongs to the people who lived it. It belongs to history. It becomes the record of who was protected, who was sacrificed, and who understood that truth inside the monarchy has never been about confession. It's been about control. When a system like the monarchy feels pressure, it rarely cracks in the center. It splinters at the edges, at the people who were invited in but never fully claimed. Meghan occupies exactly that fault line, close enough to be dangerous, distant enough to be disposable. In that equation, a buried story about a prince, a yacht, and a decision made in silence becomes more than gossip. It becomes leverage, because in royal life, the truth is rarely about what can be proved. It is about what can be suggested loudly enough that it shifts public perception without ever landing in court. Allegations about Meghan's past with Andrew now swirl through documentaries, online commentary, and whispered testimonies, blurring the line between rumor and record. The palace doesn't need to confirm it. It only needs the story to exist, hovering like a shadow over every move she makes. And somewhere in the middle of all of this stands Sarah Ferguson, the woman who has survived scandal, exile, and reinvention under the same royal roof. She knows better than anyone that stories like these are currency. Held in silence, they buy protection. Released at the right moment, they rebalance power. Whether she speaks directly or lets others join the dots, the effect is the same. Once the past begins to surface, it stops being about what happened on a yacht in 2002 and starts being about who is finally willing to stop lying for whom.